Today is Friday, August 9th. We're going to go around the bases with our MLB insider at the New York Post. He is none other than Jon Heyman. Jon, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well. We're going to start off with the Yankees. Losing a series against the Angels and one that they probably expected to win, losing two out of three against an inferior team. And, Jon, it just feels very frustrating watching this Yankees team sometimes because you thought you were seeing some hope. This team maybe had some spark. They got Giancarlo Stanton back from the IL. Maybe the offense can start taking off. And it fell flat again. And specifically the starting pitching. And that's where I want to start with you here. What more can you
Yeah,
say about this team and the
right.
starting rotation?
Yeah, I mean, it's an issue. Now, I mean, I understand you're a Yankee guy, and I know I've been tougher on the Yankees, and I'm kind of grading on a curve because the Mets came in and with no expectations, and the Yankees came in with World Series expectations and aspirations. So I've been a little tougher on the Yankees, I admit, but I still have that same issue that I had in spring training when we talked. Where are they getting the starting pitching
Mm.
from? I am not sure. I mean, obviously, all the guys in that rotation have had their moments. They were hot for a while, but someone told me that over the last couple months, the Rockies have better rotation numbers than the Yankees. And frankly, I'm not that shocked having watched it. Stroman has not been good over the last several weeks. I mean, Cortez, even worse. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a 9 ERA over his last half dozen starts, something like that. I know he said he threw good pitches yesterday, and the Angels have some nice young guys, and maybe they were well rested and feeling youthful or whatever. I don't know. They came back from a road trip not a road trip, back and playing in Anaheim against the Mets, and flew back, and they look pretty good. And I'm concerned about the Yankee rotation. I know they're 20 over or something like that, one of the best records in Major League Baseball. Nobody looks like a world beater right now. Nobody on pace to win 100 games. That includes the Yankees, and I can continue to be concerned. I mean, I know Clark Schmidt's coming back in a couple
Mhm.
weeks, or think that, and he'll probably replace either Cortez or Stroman, but still a lot of questions in that rotation, and
Really, you
no
think
ace. Feel like they don't have an ace right now. I mean, obviously Cole's the best pitcher in baseball when healthy, but he's still kind of not 100%.
you think even Stroman is a possibility to be replaced by Schmidt when he does come back by September?
I mean, it's more likely to be Cortez, I'm sure, right? I mean, he was kind of on the trading block. They considered it. I think he'd probably go to the bullpen, assuming everybody else is healthy at that moment. But I mean, Stroman hasn't been great either. We'll see how the next 2 weeks go, right? We got
Yeah,
2 weeks. They got 2 weeks to figure it out. But Clark Schmidt was good, right? He was good when everybody was
he
good. Then he
was.
got hurt. Now he's coming back, so he'll be put into the rotation clearly. And one of those guys, assuming health for everybody, is going to be lifted, whether it be Stroman or Cortez. It's probably Cortez. You're probably right.
Well, what's interesting about Cortez is he did start out with the Yankees out of that bullpen and could be a guy that could get a tough
Right.
lefty out, let's say, in the playoffs. And that's kind of what this Yankees bullpen needs a little bit. There's also that argument, Luis Gil, what do you do with him? He's never pitched this much in his career in the majors. He's putting a lot of innings on that arm, but he's also arguably your best starting pitcher besides Carlos Rodon right now. So there's that tough question of
Yeah.
Aaron Boone. What do you do there?
Well, they better hope that Heel's going to be okay because he has been their best. And, I said they didn't have an ace. I mean, he's their ace right now, right? He's been their best pitcher. Should have been an all-star. Didn't make it for whatever reason, rookie bias or something, or anti-bias. He's been really good, and they're going to have to count on him. I mean, if they start worrying about the innings now, what do they got? He's their best guy.
I agree. And then finally, the last thing with the Yanks, John, I would ask you is they didn't make a move for a starter at the deadline. Is that ultimately going to bite them in the ass when you think about it?
I mean, it was a tough market, and certainly we know they looked into either backed away or backed off of Flaherty due to the lower back situation. I mean, to me, Flaherty, would he miss one start with Detroit? He had an ERA of around 2.9. He'd 7-1 strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, it's not Carlos Correa. You're not signing him for 12 years or 13 years, right? I don't, I'm not exactly sure what was in there. I think Augustin Ramirez was discussed, so maybe he
Mm-hmm.
was in there. He eventually went for Jazz Chisholm, which is a necessity for them. I mean, they absolutely needed to get an infielder somehow, some way. And look, if they'd gotten Luis Rengifo, well, he's now out for the year with an injury. Paredes, I don't think he was a fit. He's not a great defender. Jazz has gone right to third base and been great. So, that was the guy to get. So give them credit there. So if I'm going to question them on the rotation. Got to mention two things. They got the right infielder, and there were not a lot of starting pitchers, and we'll talk about that in a little while, who were dealt, right? Flaherty was the best guy. Kikuchi, who was struggling with the Jays, had a 6.80 ERA of a dozen starts with the Jays. Probably the next best guy after Flaherty traded, and certainly he got a decent return, not as great as everybody's making out to be. No top 100 guys were traded at this deadline, but they got three guys back for Toronto, and they can cheer for that if they like. I mean, they have nothing else to cheer for, so might as well cheer for that.
No, they don't have much to cheer for, and they're going to
No,
keep walking
it's a
Aaron Judge
disaster.
every time they face him, too. All right, John, let's move over. Let's move
Well,
over to the
that I think is smart, but other than
Yes,
that,
yes.
not blaming them for that.
No.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the team in Queens, the
Yeah.
Mets. They take the series against the Rockies. They needed to do that, obviously. They're in that third wild card spot right now by a half a game. So let's talk about this team and the stretch run here. You know, they made a couple moves at the deadline to help fortify that bullpen. They got Jesse Winker. They did some maneuvering around the lineup this week. They moved P. Alonso down
Yeah.
earlier in the series, and then they brought him back up, and he hits 2 home runs yesterday. They got a big series against the Mariners, who are also fighting for a wild card spot in the AL. So what's going on with the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good situation. I think it's going to be tougher than we thought. National League wild card is tougher. You know, Arizona is good. They were in the World Series last year. Young team, got guys coming back. Merrill Kelly's still going to come back. Christian Walker is still going to come back. I know Bell's doing well for them so far. They're a good team in San Diego. I mean, they really fortified that bullpen. The bullpen is really a lockdown pen now with Tanner Scott added and Jason Adam added to Suarez, who I think is the best closer in the league. So, they're really good. Arizona's really good. So, there's that final spot, and they better grab it. And I think their chances are good because, look, Atlanta, I mean, this is not Atlanta, right? I mean, Strider's out, Acuna, Albies, Fried's had injuries, Lopez out, and the guys who are there are not performing like they did last year, not even close. Olsen and Riley, not even close. So, I mean, it's a miracle they're within a half game of the Mets at this point. But I think they're going to fade. San Francisco, which was kind of a half a seller and had Snell out there, which we're going to talk about. They're maybe the bigger threat than Atlanta at this point, but I do like the Mets' chances. You know, I've liked them for a couple months.
Yes, you have.
And I think they're going to make it, but it's not going to be so easy.
No, it's not. For them, John, I think the big thing besides their bullpen is can they keep getting quality starts from this rotation? You know, a guy that's been performing really well for them is Sean Manaea. I mean, he's kind of found something. You know, he talked about how he watched Chris Sale when the Braves came into town, and he kind of stole some of those mechanics. You know, you heard Ron Darling and Gary and Keith talk about it, and they said, you know, that may be the difference there for Manaea to unlock something. So that could be a big piece for them as they head down the stretch because they're not going to have Kodai Senga back and probably until the playoffs, if that.
Right. I mean, they're saying there's still a possibility for Senga in the playoffs. I mean, who knows? You know, the timetable for him was pushed back 20 times to begin with. You can't count on that. Manaea, you can count on. He has really been their ace quietly. I don't know if it's quiet, but it seems like he is to me. He's got that player option or whatever you want to call it for 13.5 next year, which he can void and presumably will as long as he stays healthy. He adjusts. He does the right thing to get better. He did that late last year with San Francisco. Now he's made more adjustments. Terrific guy. I ride back with him on the subway sometimes when I'm able to ride quickly.
That's cool.
Near me. And he gets extra points for that, but he's been outstanding for the team. And, I think the Mets are in pretty good shape. And you mentioned all the guys that they got. One guy I'll add is Blackburn, who's had 2 pretty good starts so far. Didn't give up a ton for him. The Mets held their prospects. I mean, they really, from a front office standpoint, the Mets have done a great job this year. A+. I don't remember what Mike Puma gave them, but at this point, we got to give them an A+, right? I mean, no one expected this. Manaea has been fantastic. Severino has certainly been worth it, at least. Bader has been good. I mean, he's very good in the outfield, and he's clutch. And I like their moves at the deadline. I mean, getting all these relievers. I mean, some of them are going to hit, right? We got to think that we got to figure a couple of them are going to hit, and that's exactly what they needed to do. They needed a starter. They weren't going to spend for one of the few great starter rate quotes the best starters who were traded. Flaherty, who's really good, and Kikuchi, who was not too good with the Blue Jays, but is an analytics dream, right? He throws 98. He's got a great strikeout rate, and Houston has unlocked it. So good for the Astros there. But there just weren't a lot of starters, and to come up with Blackburn, that looks pretty good right now. So I'm giving the Mets front office an A+ for this year.
Yeah, they've well positioned themselves for this postseason run, hopefully. And, Francisco Lindor is having an MVP type year, which helps obviously for that offense to really
Right.
take
In the
off.
National League, right? If
In
in
the
the
National League.
American League, Aaron Judge and Bobby Witt Jr. and Juan Soto are off the charts,
Don't
right?
forget
But in the
Jose
National
Ramirez.
League,
Jose Ramirez is having an insane year too, for Cleveland.
yeah, I mean he's good, but he's not going to be Judge or Witt, right? I mean, let's
No,
be real. There, Judge and Witt are way up here. There's no, I think it'll be a shock if Judge doesn't win the MVP.
right.
He certainly deserves it, but Bobby Witt Jr. in another year, I mean, he is having an MVP season, incredible
250.
season.
Yeah.
So, and Soto's having an MVP season. I mean, Ramirez, I'll put him in the top 5. I mean, I know you're a fan, so we'll get him in the top 5.
There's a
little bit
tier and then there's a
overlooked.
second tier, right?
I think so, but they're both high tiers, right?
Oh, yeah.
National League, the leader is Ohtani, who's been, 30-30,
30-30.
incredible. But he is a DH, going to be the first full-time DH, if he wins, to win the MVP. I wrote that Lindor was a candidate, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Then I heard some chants. I think it was a 7 line. Maybe they picked up the post, or maybe they came up with it on their own. I don't know. The next day, chanting, Lindor, you're right. He's a candidate in the National League, which, I mean, it's great. He's great. It's great, but it's like there's 2 different leagues, right? We got Judge and Witt are all-time great, and we've got a DH, no offense, leading in the National League. Lindor's got a shot, though. You're fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. John, let's go to our third topic here about the deadline. And you alluded to this, the starters that weren't traded at the deadline. Who are they? And what more can you say about where they're heading into the offseason with where they're positioned?
Right. I mean, I would say Blake Snell was the big one for me because they were actually listening on him, and San Francisco would have considered trading him if they'd gotten a top 100 prospect. Nobody was willing to do it. So I can't kill the Yankees for this, but I mean, looking at it now that he's thrown no hitter, maybe I'm not being fair. I don't know, but he did have that 15 strikeout game before, and he was dominating before. Now he's got 5 games with an ERA of 0.55. I mean, right now he's the best pitcher in baseball. So I get it from San Francisco's standpoint. I don't think they were shooting for the moon. I heard complaints, but nobody likes to give up prospects. But I mean, what a difference that would make for the Yankees to add Snell. You got Snell and Heel. I'm getting counting Heel. They look like they have a great playoff rotation. Right now, their playoff rotation looks, at the moment, below average. You add Snell, it looks outstanding. So easy for me to say now. Yankees certainly kept Dominguez out of it. I think hopefully we see him up here pretty soon. He's doing well in the minors. He can hit. I get that. Still could have made a deal from what I understand, whether it be Lombard, Will Warren. They have Arias. They got prospects.
Spencer
I know people
Jones.
can rip their system all they want, but they do have prospects, and to me, Snell was a bargain. San Francisco had paid the $17 million signing bonus. It's only $5 million this year, and then a $30 million player option for next year. I don't even know why the Yankees cared about that $30 million player option. He's not picking it up, right? I mean, why would he pick that up? It'll be easy for him to go out and get another deal where he's got 2 years with that second year being a player option. Even if he doesn't get the 5 or 6 year deal or
Right.
7 year deal, whatever that he wants. I mean, look what he's doing. There's no reason to think he can't get that 2 years deal with the option on the second year. Right now, he's got $30 million player, and he's the best pitcher in the game. I don't see why he would pick that up. So I'm not sure why the Yankees were so, and other teams presumably were concerned about this. Don't see him picking it up. They should have picked him up.
All right, John, I guess I disagree slightly, but I understand what you're saying in that.
Well, what would you have done? Who would you wouldn't trade Lombard for him or
no,
Will
listen,
Warren?
I think I would have made the move for Snell, obviously, but I think the Yankees, the way they're thinking is, and to your point, they didn't want to go over and pay an extra, was it 60 million in tax this season for someone like Blake Snell, or since it's not as
Well,
much.
no, not this season. Next season, right?
Next season, right?
If he picks it up, it's 30 million plus 110%, so $63 million. Like how I did the math there, 63 million. If he picks it up, you're Blake Snell. Are you picking that up? I don't think so. I don't see why he would pick that up. I think he's opting out, right? DeBoer's client. He wants to be a free agent again, right? And the worst, to me, the worst he's going to do is that 2-year deal where that second year is a player option. I don't see him picking up that 30 million unless he gets hurt. Now, if he gets hurt it's a risk, right? Because if he gets hurt, his arm injury or something, then he's going to have to pick up the 30 million. Then you're stuck for 63 million. To me, you're the Yankees. You haven't won since 2009. Why be so cautious?
Right.
Anyway,
why be cautious? You're all in with the Juan Soto. The only year guaranteed
this is
this
right.
year. Yeah,
perfect answer. Right.
Okay. So, John, let's bring this all home. Your most disappointing team of the week. Who is it?
Maybe it's a little personal because I got a friend who was trumpeting the Pirates to me 5 days ago. I'm like, what are you talking about? The Padres have taken off. The Diamondbacks have taken off. The Mets are solid. What are the Pirates going to do? I mean, they picked up a couple guys, but they're talk about cautious, talk about not spending. And the fans have been all over this owner forever, deservedly so. They are so unaggressive. I mean, they weren't going to get in, and now they're under 500. They've lost a few in a row, and it's another year that the Pirates are the Pirates. So they're my disappointing team of the week. There weren't a ton of great players traded. Many of them were what we'd call overpay. To me, go for it. You're 500. You've got Skeens. Jones, we'll see. Hopefully he can come back and be good. You've got Keller. You've got a rotation that could help you win that first round. Get in there somehow, some way, and not going to happen.
Currently 4.5 games out of the NL wild card. They did just lose their 4th straight yesterday. So we'll see what happens to the Pirates. I am shocked you didn't go with the White Sox after firing their manager, Pedro Grifol, but I figured you probably...
That's a positive. No offense.
Oh, man. All right, John. Thank you for going around the bases with us, as always. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Good talking to you.